right, let's start out this way. September the 25th was World Pharmacist Day, a day set aside to reflect the important role of pharmacists in providing care to the public.
The theme for this year's event is tagged Pharmacists Caring for You. Pharmacists specialize in safe and effective medication delivery, but not too many Nigerians patronize their services as they would rather buy drugs off the streets and in commercial vehicles. Let's see this report.
The World Health Organization says medical consumables are to be kept in stores and each with different room temperature so as to keep its potency. But in Nigeria, especially in Lagos, drugs are sold openly on public and commercial buses. With the aid of a secret camera, TVC News followed some drug peddlers on some buses in Lagos. This particular drug peddler says this drug can cure cough and other chest-related diseases. She advertised her wares and the people start buying. The illiterate and the less privileged in the society are not the only customers of unauthorized drug peddlers. Some educated people are also guilty of this act. The question now is, why do people buy drugs on the bus?
That is where they can find it well advertised in terms of giving them information about the usages and the benefits of the drugs, which they cannot find elsewhere.
Some people buy it in the bus stop because it's cheap for them to afford the money. Because normally when you go to pharmacies, it's too expensive for them to buy it.
Mostly why people buy drugs in the buses and even on roadside is because they are cheaper, and they rather go for something cheaper.
So, what is wrong in buying drugs from the bus or bus stations? The immediate past president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria provides an answer.
Now, if a man hawks or he sells in buses or other unauthorized places, the first thing you get is that those drugs are not kept at the appropriate temperature. Now, what you will have from benefit of insight and experience as a pharmacist is accelerated degradation of that drug product. In simple terms, that means that drug product expires faster than it should normally expire.
You now know the dangers inherent in purchasing drugs off the bus. Next time you're on the bus and a drug is being advertised, I'm sure you know what to do. Oluwatoyin Abu, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, with us in the studio is the chairman of Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Lagos State Branch, Olugbenga Olubowale. It's good to have you join us right now.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Right. Let's start from part of that report, talking about the sale of drugs in luxury buses or in public places, in garages and so on, in parks. It's very common in Nigeria. Every part of the country you go, you can see anyone just peddling or hawking drugs. Why are drugs that available everywhere you go?
Thank you very much. Well, unfortunately, this is our cross in this country presently, whereby you have a lot of misnomer. Ideally, drugs are essential products. They are delicate items. They are not items of trade. They are supposed to be handled and offered to the patient by a professional who knows the implication of this medication. But again, like I said, unfortunately in this place where you have anything goes, people have looked on the items of drugs as commodities that can be given out like sweets. And you see, if drugs items are not properly stored, just like the immediate past president did mention there, they deteriorate faster, they get spoiled easily, they turn to poisonous. So we are talking about cheapness. On the long run, what you get is we are killing ourselves slowly and steadily. Because currently we have a lot of failures in organs, kidneys, livers, because of what? Misuse of drugs which are offered, in the wrong places.
Okay, so who do you blame for this? The manufacturer who sell the drugs to the hawkers, or the hawkers perhaps who approach some pharmacists and get these drugs and retail? Who do you blame?
I think we all have portion of these blames. All of us, the society, because we condone it. This should not be allowed. There are laws in places that specifically specify where you can offer these products. But do we adhere to these things? No. Somebody mentioned the fact that, look, if you go into a pharmacy, it could be expensive, or because they can waste time. But for crying out loud, it's about your health. You should spend the time and the money to visit a professional who will counsel you, who will advise you, who will probably offer you the best. Because health cannot be duplicated. Once it failed, it failed. So why do you want to risk it?
All right, these people mentioned the issue of the fact that some of these drugs at the parks and in the buses are cheaper. But let us make comparison between the efficacy of the drug. How efficient, or how effective rather, are these drugs if it is cheap and you can buy and then it solves your problem? How efficient are they?
You can't be talking about cheapness when the issue of health is concerned. Because I give you a case scenario. If a paracetamol is made from a factory, the manufacturer has specifically listed how that product should be stored for it to maintain its efficacy. If they have written on the body that this product has a lifespan or will expire in 5 years or in 3 years, under which condition? Keeping it in a dry place, well-ventilated environment, away from sunlight and rain. And you now keep this in the open sun, under heavy downpour of rain. Of course, you are going to fast-track, the rate at which this drug breaks down. And when it breaks down, what happens? It turns into something that is not what the manufacturer has said this drug is going to do for you.
All right, let's talk about quackery in your profession, because there are some chemists that are open that are not run by professionals. Is there any way you weed them out, or is there any way the public can identify those who are not really pharmacists?
When I commenced my interaction with you, I mentioned the fact that it's unfortunate that anything goes in this our climb. Quackery has been there. And again, we go back to regulation. There are federal agencies, even state agencies, state apparatus, which are meant to checkmate this quackery.
But on your part, as an association, what do you do? How do we identify? NDIC, for instance, has, that's for the banking industry, has a poster, like a banner. If you enter in any bank and you don't see that NDIC, you know that that bank is not insured. So what do you have to show for it?
Emblems. There is a Green Cross emblem, which is provided by the society to every practicing, genuine registered pharmaceutical enterprises.
Do the public know about this?
Yes. There are deliberate efforts to publicize this, to talk this. We go out there to meet people in the garages, in the marketplaces. We also invite media to talk about this cross, about this emblem. Again, let me tell you, there are fake emblems there.
Okay.
People are there imitating this same green cross. So if you are looking for the green cross, it normally carries a number which indicates the registration number of the practitioner, under whose, the emblem is given. So you look for those numbers. And again, when you walk into a pharmaceutical premises, you have the right to request to see the pharmacist in charge. You are supposed to look up, you will see the license, practicing license, current practicing license, not 2 years, 3 years backdated, but the current one, issued by the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria.
That's for those who are literate. How about those who are not literate? Will they have time to start reading through there and see the date? Don't you have something that is easy for people to identify?
That's the Green Cross.
Okay.
I'm only saying beyond the Green Cross,
right,
you should look for other things, because people can decide to fake even the Green Cross.
All right.
Okay. Now, we'll come back to this. Now, fake drugs are a global public health problem, causing death, disability, and injury, from what pharmacist Olubawale has said. Now, the World Health Organization defines fake drug as a medicine which is deliberately and fraudulently mislabeled with respect to identity and/or source. Counterfeiting can apply to both branded and generic products, and the counterfeit products may include products with the correct ingredients or with the wrong ingredients, without active ingredients, with insufficient active ingredients, or with fake packaging.
Quite a lot of ingredients going on there. So about 100,000 deaths a year in Africa are linked to the counterfeit drug trade, according to the World Health Organization. The types of drugs that fall easily in this category are cough syrups, antiparasitic and anti-malaria drugs, antibiotics, and even contraceptives. Nigeria is Africa's largest drugs market, and over 70% of its drugs are imported. Fake drugs come from a number of places, but findings from the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, show that the bulk of fake drugs come from lesser-known factories in Asian countries like India and China.
The 30% produced locally are also manufactured with imported raw materials. Presently, the health sector is experiencing shortages in supply of drugs. Essentially, drugs needed for high blood pressure, cancer, and others are not only expensive but also scarce. Now, this is because of the high foreign exchange rate and the sliding value of the naira. Now, imported pharmaceutical products have been hit by about 20 to 25% price hike. The extra costs incurred during importation is transferred to the consumers. And pharmacists are worried that this may lead to resurgence in the mass production of fake drugs.
The high demand for medicines and low cost of production prompts counterfeiters to produce fake drugs. Though, according to the NOIP polls, 18% of Nigerians have personally been victims of fake, counterfeit, and substandard pharmaceutical products, medicines, and drugs. Independent pharmacy chemists, that amounts to about 68%, and drug hawker, that's those your bubonishi that you get in the bus and the bus stop, accounts for 14%. That have been identified as the two main points of purchase of fake drugs, medicines in Nigeria.
Now, some of the challenges affecting this sector include high interest rates imposed on manufacturers, the lack of policy implementation of policies, the high demand of drugs and low supply, counterfeiting of NAFDAC numbers, among others. Now, the pharmacist in the house has told us that sometimes there is actually where people have emblems and labels that are not original. They counterfeit them, as the case may be. Now, let's understand this. Under ideal circumstance, is it only a pharmacist that has the right to open a chemist or sell drugs? Because we see business people who sell these things too. Are they sometimes do you give licenses to people who want to just sell, who want to open shops for drugs?
You know, because of the fact that nature abhors vacuum, and that there are regulations, there are specifications. How many pharmacists to a populace? Currently, Nigeria is still a developing country, and we are yet to have the number of pharmacists to fully service these over 170 million Nigerians. So, because of that, there are provisions for the category of, people we call the proprietary patent medicine vendors, to obtain a license from the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria to offer simple medication OTC in their original pack to the public without dispensing it, without breaking it.
Medication,
things like simple analgesics, pain reliever, multivitamins, such simple medication. Now, when you apply to get this license, they will tell you specifically and offer you a list of what you should do. But again, most of these people are businessmen, in quotes. Their own end is they see it as item of trade. Now, they go far beyond offering this simple medication. They cross the border to begin to sell ethical products, highly specialized products, even dispensing drugs to the end users. These are in violation of that, understanding that you are supposed to limit yourself only to simple medication. And regularly they are called to offer training called orientation. But you see, they are highly overzealous. They don't care. It's about, look, the end of it is I want money. I want to invest in this trade. and make money. Otherwise, in a very sane environment, all drug items should be handled by the drug experts, and that's the pharmacist globally, because he's the one who research into these products, is the one who manufacture these products. He understands how this product works. He documents whatever side effects to be expected. He has information. He can educate the public on these products. So he's a total professional when it comes into drug medicines.
Okay. You were speaking, I mean, so eloquently about the ethics of your profession, and I think it's laudable. But do all pharmacists adhere to what you're talking about? Because sometimes you see have cases of fake drugs, even from the so-called big pharmacists and with the so-called qualified pharmacists. What happens in such cases?
You see, ideally, any pharmacist who knows his own nose very well will never engage in any form of malpractice because they know the repercussion. You see, pharmacists in this country is one of the over-regulated profession. If you speak to an average pharmacist on the road, he will tell you this. Regularly, they are being monitored by both the Pharmacist Council of Nigeria, even the NAFDAC who comes around once in a while to ensure that the product you are offering the public is genuine. So he knows the repercussion of offering fake or counterfeit products in his premises. So he will never deliberately do that, never. But again, because of our distribution channels that are full of leakages, you have way that some of these things can enter the chain, the pipeline. So we cannot 100% say, well, it could happen once in a while, but pharmacists goes the extra mile because we care about the patient, about the end user.
All right, we have from the reports, in fact, it's even public knowledge that most of the drugs on the streets that we see and we're complaining about, many of them come from Asian countries.
That's right.
India, China, Taiwan, Indonesia, and Malaysia, and so on. Now, is there any arrangement where the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria or the Pharmacist Council of Nigeria meets with the source or the agency in the source country, where they meet to see how they can work out these things to reduce the prevalence of fake drugs and substandard drugs?
Yeah, there are forums and there are platforms for this. I'm aware that NAFDAC has put in place structures. If you are bringing in products from Asia or from anywhere in the world into this country, before you can be given a NAFDAC registration document or license certifying that you can offer these products to our public, you have to go through processes with NAFDAC. And one of the processes is they need to know the source. Which country are you bringing this from which company? And they go extra mile in certifying those facilities over there. They have representatives in those countries that will confirm that truly this laboratory, this factory meets standard. We have instances that NAFDAC are invited over to those countries to go and see firsthand how these drugs are manufactured and to ensure and ascertain that yes, truly, whatever they are coming out from these factories are good enough for our people in this country. So whether we adhere to all of this is a different thing. Because you see, Nigerians sometimes we take things with levity, and health shouldn't be a thing we should be toying with. I'm sorry to say this. I've said this before. You cannot replicate your health. If once you have lose it, you have lose it. And this is where we must all rally around and get this as takeaway and take home to our people. People must be educated, must be informed properly, know where to source your products. After seeing your doctor with your prescription, go to the pharmacy to obtain your drugs, where you'll be advised on how to use it. Where if you have challenges with the product, you can always go back and report. And when you report about any side effect, there's always a procedure to even report back to NAFDAC to find a way, if there is a problem, to recall these products. If you buy from an open market, how do you do all this? It's not going to be possible.
Okay. All right. The theme for this year is pharmacies caring for you.
That's right.
Okay. There's a pharmacy very close to my house, and over time and again, I probably would just walk in there and ask for some drugs. But nobody asks me,
where is your prescription?
Where is my prescription?
Yeah, it depends on the kind of
I just get the drugs and they are there, peradventure, if somebody has a problem with drug addiction or drug abuse, that person will walk away free. Some disconnect there.
Yes. You see, if you walk into your pharmacy and you ask for certain products and you are offered without the pharmacist requesting to see the prescription, it is possibly you are asking for simple medication. You are asking for OTC, over-the-counter products. You understand me? There are drugs that will not be dispensed to you without the pharmacist citing your prescription.
But is it not normal? Is it not normal for a pharmacy to even ask just the basic question? Because you're supposed to care for me. That's what your theme says.
That's right.
Okay, so if I come in and say I have a cold, for instance, and I just ask for a particular drug, shouldn't you, as a pharmacist, perhaps offer some kind of advice, or perhaps even ask some questions before you dispense those drugs?
I tell you, if truly where you have been visiting is a pharmacy place, the pharmacy will always stop you to ask questions. Because part of the services is not just you walk in, you ask me for a product and I give it to you. No, I will pause, ask you questions, I will interact with you.
They don't do
I
that.
will ask you
they
questions.
Don't do that often.
Then please, you might need to check again that place you are going. I'm telling you this. Pharmacists generally will always stop to ask you questions about your well-being, why you want this drug. They will ask you questions. They won't just offer it to you. That is what each pharmacist has been told to do. And I'm sure, I'm aware, majority of them do this.
And sometimes they are not
Regular
around.
basis.
They probably have their sales girls or sales boys around, and those ones will dispense all those drugs while the pharmacist is not around. What happens?
Well, if you come in and the pharmacist is not there, there could be so many reasons why the pharmacist is not there at that very point in time. And if the pharmacist is not there, you can as well ask the shop attendants, the pharmacy attendant, when can I see your pharmacist? Many a times they can even put a call through to him. He could have probably gone out to pick stock, to do some other consultation things.
All right, we'll come back to this. Now, we're going out on TVC Entertainment, but viewers there can continue with TVC Breakfast on TVC Nigeria. That's on Concert Channel 190 and DSTV Channel 418.
Go TV 45 and SCTV 510. Let's continue the conversation there.
All right, if you're just joining us, you're watching TVC Breakfast, and on this segment, we are looking at the World Pharmacist Day. It was originally 25th of September, but we're discussing it today because of the importance of what pharmacists are, because on a daily basis, we know that a lot of Nigerians self-medicate, and that's one of the dangers of these things. And we have the chairman of Lagos State Branch Chairman of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, pharmacist Benga Olubowale. We have been talking about this. Now, let's go into the issue of self-medication. This is very common. Sometimes you go to a hospital and you are diagnosed and given drugs, for instance, and then things. How dangerous is that?
It's very dangerous because, you know, each time you have symptoms of a particular ailment, the ideal thing is to visit your medical, you know, your caregiver, who will probably put some diagnoses after running tests to ascertain what exactly is wrong with you. Now, headache could mean so many things. You know, pains could mean so many things. Many of these medical challenges give similar symptoms. So for you to conclude that, oh, because I have something that looks like this the last time and I'm having the same feeling this time around, then I should probably go and self-medicate, is a very wrong attitude.
It's even a good thing if you've gone to the hospital the first time and you've been diagnosed and you got the test result and everything. Some people don't even find out what is wrong with them. The next thing, you have a headache, I want a Panadol.
That's right.
Or Panadol Extra.
You see, that's where it's wrong, because even the manufacturer of Panadol will tell you, or whatever, pain reliever, after 3 days, after 2 or 3 days, and the symptoms persist,
consult your
doctor. So you see, if now you continue to dose yourself with these various medicines, you are indirectly, you know, injuring yourself. And even the worst case scenario, I tell you, is whereby even in some neighborhood, oh, I have this symptom the last time, the doctor gave me this, and I got it from the pharmacy, and I'm having, and a friend or a relative have similar complaint, and you now turn yourself into a medical person and begin to prescribe. Why not just go and pick this? When I had the
this was what they gave me.
You know,
Exactly.
it's our attitude which we need to change. We must learn to create time to attend to our health. You understand? And again, you don't blame the public, because why? Most of the public spends long hours seeing their caregiver, which shouldn't be the case. You understand me? And that's why if you look at a pharmacy, for example, I'm not just saying this, pharmacists are the most accessible in terms of health professionals, because you walk into the pharmacy, you don't need anybody to like stop you. If the pharmacist is there, request to see him, he should talk to you. Period. So maybe we might need to see how we reduce the waiting time for our patients. Let us encourage them to come over to the facilities.
Well, does that substitute for the hospital?
No, it's not a substitute. You must see your doctor. If you have health challenges, you must see your caregivers.
Okay, let's bring in Foladele in here for to give us a reaction of Nigerians online. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
Well, World Pharmacist Day, 25th of September. It was a chance for some pharmacists to reflect on how proud they are to be pharmacists. And for some pharmacists in Nigeria, it was a chance to raise some concerns.
And they're really proud. We'll come back to
exactly.
that.
You will find out.
Quite a lot of
there will be
issues
questions for you. Certainly, there will be questions for you. All right, let's get into it. First tweet here from @MidnightSummer, who says, proud to be a pharmacist, one of the most noble jobs in the world. God bless all pharmacists who made this day great. So she's proud. @MUFC Axis says, can't forget my experience at the NYSC orientation camp. Was so happy to touch lives as a pharmacist. #fulfilled. Now let's get into the concerns. @Roland says, we all know we are terribly underpaid in Nigeria. I'm a pharmacist and my colleagues earn 10 times what I earn abroad. Next one from @Kubi, who says, my aim in life as a pharmacist is to eradicate at least 60% of drug abuse cases in Nigeria. We'll get there if Allah wills. Next one from @Mr. Muizi NG, who says, Nigeria, where an art student is working in the bank, where chemists they claim pharmacist. And the last one here from @Ventus91, who says, in Nigeria, a pharmacist is seen to be a doctor, a nurse, dentist, shrink, cosmetologist, and beauty consultant. Biko, it's only drugs I know.
Okay, what else do you know, doctor?
Definitely, I mean, we want a reaction. I want to know what is being done to ensure that it's actually qualified pharmacists that are, going on to become pharmacists in Nigeria. We want to be sure that it's not, a
chemist,
someone who a chemist, or someone who studied banking and finance, or someone, we want to make sure that it's the right people that are in the profession. How can we ensure this?
You see, becoming a pharmacist is not an easy task. It's one of the most difficult profession in the world, because you need to study so many things, so many aspects, and because of it, a lot of people cannot just cope. So you find out that it's only the best who end up being a pharmacist. And when you qualify as a pharmacist, you are like an envy of all.
Some of my friends, they settled for pharmacy when they couldn't get into medicine. Nah. And up to tomorrow, they still want to be doctors.
You see, if you said this, I want to tell you about so many of my friends who are doctors, who aspire to be pharmacists. And there are so many of us who are pharmacists who are actually offered medicine. I'm a case study. I was in medical school for 2 years before I switched over to pharmacy, because I never see myself in, I prefer pharmacy line.
Are you squeamish?
No, I just love pharmacy. Okay. It gives you that part, that aspect to be so useful to the patient. You are so close to them. You can feel them.
Doctors might argue differently. They might
they all have opinion and all of that. Fola, thank you very much for this. Yeah, see you again. All right. Okay, now when it comes to pharmacists, doctors dichotomy,
Oh yeah.
it seemed to be, well, when we were in the university, we often see this, you know, friction between pharmacists on one hand, doctors on the other hand. Don't you know I'm a medical doctor? You know, I spent more years in the school than you, and so on. But why do you have that? There's supposed to be a synergy, but there seems to be some kind of
Rivalry.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you said it all. It's supposed to be a synergy. And, you know, we all should understand where one task starts and ends. But whereby we don't want to understand that borderline, they begin to incur into each other's territory. And again, what caused some of this trouble or wahala, like a common man would say, is this issue of arrogating yourself, you know, in quotes.
Ego
leadership. Leadership is earned. That is the truth. You cannot, and you have to lead well if you claim to be a leader. And I tell you, where you claim you are the head and I'm the neck is more superior.
Yeah, because it turns the
Because
head.
the neck which determines which area, which side the head goes. That is the truth.
I guess I know you.
It's a teamwork. It's a teamwork. Listen.
Women and men.
that's the same argument between men and women sometimes.
So you see, and it's all the same thing, husband and wife. You are supposed to partner together for the benefit of the people, the patients. Seriously.
Right.
As a pharmacist, I have no business in diagnosing or putting, you know, it is your job.
And all of that.
Do your job. But once you are done with the patient, push the patient to me with prescription. So that when the patient comes in, I look at your prescription. If there are prescription errors, I will advise you. Okay. And I will dispense and cancel the patient.
Okay, quickly, let's look at the issue of remuneration. From one of the tweets we have there, somebody was saying, comparing what they get here and what they get paid abroad.
We cannot begin to compare ourselves abroad. It's just like you guys here too. You can't be saying, oh, fine, because I work in TVC, somebody work in CNN. No, we are working in Nigeria. And I tell you, for an average pharmacist who wants to make it in life, it shouldn't be about remuneration. Your focus. Yeah. First and foremost is the service you are rendering. Right. That gives so much satisfaction. The money will come with time when you build a reputation as a good practitioner, naturally.
All right, but we've seen situations sometimes where a pharmacist is also a medical doctor, or maybe has gone to school to practice. Do they conflict at a time? If a single person goes to a medical school, you graduate and then go to a pharmacist, and then you're qualified on both sides, is there a point where there's a conflict?
You know, there are yearning. And I tell you, there are people, yes, I know quite a number of colleagues who are both a medical doctor and a pharmacist. So it is their choice. But I believe such a person will surely know, having taken the training in medicine and training in pharmacy, that, oh, this is the area. So such a person should have a better, clearer understanding of the two subject matter.
Okay.
Probably will be a superhuman now.
A super medical human. All right. Now, Gbenga Olubawale, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
And we wish you a happy Pharmacist Day, even though it was passed yesterday.
And don't stop caring for us.
Sure, it's our goal. It's our goal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.